What is up, YouTube? This is your boy, the original Renaissance man, Devon DaVinci, and I'm gonna be getting into a video. It's from a channel called "It's Okay to Be Smart." You ever been going down YouTube and then a question will pop up in your mind, and then you'll just do a search of it just to see if what exactly is the answer to that question that you have? Well, this is a question I've had before. I've kind of already had this answered and everything, but this goes more in thorough with it. And the question is, why are we the only humans left? A lot of people, especially religious people, they tend to look at humans and apes, and they don't see the connection. So they see humans as something special, like we're something that didn't just evolve. We were created, and everything else was just made for us or something like that. And I think the reason why people tend to think that is because we don't really have any type of genetic cousins that are close to us. I mean, apes are kind of close to us, but I'm talking about as far as a species, we're the only I'm gonna say homo. It's funny. We're the only homo species that I believe exists right now. So it's easy to see with that big gap, why people tend to think that. This video should answer this question. It's called, I already said that. I already said the title. I'm tripping. I'm already forgetting. Maybe I'm a little bit lower on the evolutionary ladder than you guys are, but let's go ahead and check this video out and see what it has to offer.
This episode is supported by 23andMe. Look around and you'll meet some pretty smart animals, but there's no species quite like us. But that wasn't always true. As recently as 50,000 years ago, we walked the planet along with at least 3 other human species. Denisovans and real-life hobbits, Homo floresiensis, didn't leave much behind to know them by. But Neanderthals are a different story, a richer story. The first people to hold Neanderthal skulls didn't know what to make of them until Charles Darwin published his theory of evolution. Like every living thing, modern humans must have descended from an earlier species, and lots of scientists thought Neanderthals fit the bill, our primitive, slightly dim-witted ancestor. Ernst Haeckel even tried to name them Homo stupidus. Other scientists had different ideas. They rebuilt skeletons to look like cartoon cavemen, instead insisting Neanderthals were some failed evolutionary dead end. So, where do Neanderthals fit in the human story? Were they a bunch of cotton-headed ninny-muggins, or were they more intelligent and human than we give them credit for? And if they were smart, why did they disappear after they met us? Did Neanderthals really disappear after all?
Or were they murdered?
If you were sharing a subway car with a bunch of humans and a well-groomed Neanderthal, you might not be able to tell who's who. But that's New York for you. But there were some differences. The big brow ridge, huge nose, weirdly short forearms and shins, and big muscles. These were adaptations to life in cold northern climates, while our skinny ancestors were built for a warmer, runnier existence. Our bodies are different, but similar enough that when Neanderthals and our species first met, we would have seen something familiar staring back at us. Neanderthal life carried serious occupational hazards, considering dinner meant going head-to-head with woolly mammoths and rhinoceros like some Paleolithic rodeo rider. Their fossil remains show healed, broken bones, even signs that some were blind, meaning Neanderthal tribes cared for and fed their sick and injured. They even buried their dead. We don't know if that's because they were spiritual or religious, but Neanderthals definitely weren't violent brutes. They were caring and social. By 250,000 years ago, there were brains walking around in Germany as big or bigger than yours or mine, only inside Neanderthal skulls. But if brains were everything, blue whales would be our overlords. They're not, right? Neanderthals used this tool about 200,000 years ago. 150,000 years later, that technology had progressed to this. Not exactly Steve Jobs. It's clearly not the size of a brain, it's how you use it. Our symbolic thinking, social interactions, technological innovation, and dad jokes just wouldn't be possible without our brain's ability to fancy words together make. You know, Intricate phraseology, elaborate discourse, complex language. So could Neanderthals
I'm still
talk?
trying to wrap my head around
We
that.
know that we and Neanderthals share the same version of a gene,
I'm not too good with the
FOXP2,
word
that's
making.
essential for a language. But that gene alone isn't enough to make a caveman Shakespeare. The shape of Neanderthal brains inside their skulls suggests they had structures important for speech. Their throats were shaped to make more than ape sounds. That's most of the ingredients for some kind of speech and language. But rich communication is possible even without mouth noises. Scientists think Neanderthals could have exchanged ideas and told stories by combining simple sounds, musical tones, and rhythmic movement, just like prehistoric boy bands. Around 50,000 years ago, Neanderthals met their very smart cousins, us. For 5 or 10,000 winters and summers, our ranges overlapped until Neanderthals suddenly disappeared, just poof, about 40,000 years ago. Were we friends or enemies? Wherever our nomadic hunting groups clashed for territory, our species had deadlier weapons. Whereas Neanderthals lived in socially isolated groups, we readily exchanged technology between tribes, even traded. When it came to innovation and competition for resources, Neanderthals just couldn't catch up. Or maybe we just gave them an extinction level case of the flu. At their peak, Neanderthal populations probably never reached 6 figures worldwide. Like gorillas and orangutans today, they lived in small dispersed pockets, which means more inbreeding and less genetic diversity. Maybe Neanderthals were already endangered when we showed up. Before they disappeared, Neanderthals left us one present. In 2010, the Neanderthal genome was sequenced from ancient bones. That genome was compared to modern human genomes. 1 to 4% of all the genes from all living humans outside sub-Saharan Africa came from Neanderthals.
Hold up. Before he gets back. Now, I was always under the impression that a species is something, or you can tell when a species is a species because it can't breed with other species. That's what makes something become a species. It can't breed with what it used to be. Now, if Neanderthals and humans, or Homo sapiens, I guess, are a different species, how were we able to breed? Were they just, I'm not sure. Like somebody, if you guys have the answer for that, leave it in the comment section down below. Because that's just something that seemed like, I'm sure maybe something's off with what I'm thinking about. Maybe I heard wrong or maybe I understood it wrong. But leave me information in the comment section down below.
People with sub-Saharan ancestry know Neanderthal DNA. This tells us Homo sapiens shared a romantic campfire with Neanderthals and interbred. Probably right after our species left Africa, spreading that Neanderthal DNA as we settled the rest of the globe. Thanks to genetic testing, I know I have more Neanderthal DNA than 70% of people, which to me is proof Neanderthals were definitely intelligent and awesome. So, 50,000 years
goes
ago,
against
we
everything
walked
you just
beside
said.
other humans. We haven't completely solved the mystery of why they disappeared, except to discover they aren't totally gone. They live on inside us, the only humans left. But the 7.5 billion of us alive today share more than these distant ancestors. We're a lot more related than you think, and we'll talk about that next time. Stay curious. Thanks to 23andMe for sponsoring this episode. The name 23andMe comes from the fact that human DNA is organized into 23 pairs of chromosomes.
All right, I think that this is the advertising pitch, which actually looks interesting. If I ever get a chance, I would like to try to do something as far as like ancestry reports and things like that. You guys let me know which one is better between 23andMe and Ancestry.com because I'm good with either one, honestly. I guess Ancestry probably looks more into your family history, and 23andMe probably looks more at your genetic makeup. Maybe I should do both. Anyway, yeah, I'm still confused about that whole Neanderthal thing. I have no idea if, like, that makes them a different species, or maybe there's some type of other category that they fall in where they're not really a completely different species, but at the same time, they're not like us. Maybe the same way a tiger and a lion can interbreed, but they're not necessarily the same. Like, they kind of fall in the same evolutionary tree, but they're not like, they're like different leaves as opposed to different branches. I don't know. But yeah, like I said, leave some comments down below. Let me know what you all thought. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and share. I'm trying to think of anything else that might pop up in my head while I got these questions, because I don't want to end up leaving comments or messages, because I really want to find out more about this. That's pretty much it until then. So that's been the original Renaissance man, Devon DaVinci, always trying to learn. Make sure you guys are always out there learning something new as well. I'm going to give you guys the deuces. Peace.